Controllably upset.
If I could get everyone's attention, I don't have my gavel this morning, so good for you. I won't be banging stuff around up here, but I do want to call the meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Casperson.
Yes.
Senator Pavlo. Senator Green. Senator Kowal.
Here.
Senator Meekhoff. Senator Warren. Senator Hood. Mr. Chair, you have 2 members present, and you do not have a quorum.
Thank you. Could you please all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we do not have a quorum. We are not voting today. We're just simply taking testimony, and we're working on the designating the wolf as a game animal is what the intent of the bill is, and we're actually coordinating, working with Representative Hucke over in the House because of the time restraints is the purpose for us starting here, and I will be getting the double blue back from the representative on the bill so we can work simultaneously from both chambers on the bill. So the intent today would be to take testimony, get the conversation started, and when we come back into session, we'll take it back up actually with the bill with the intent to vote it out. So with that, I'd like to start out with Trevor Van Dyke with the DNR, who wishes to speak in support. Morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, for the opportunity to talk to you about this important issue. I know that there's been a bill introduced in the House, and we've been working with the bill sponsor on making necessary changes and working forward on that bill. The issue before the committee is the conversation of whether putting the wolf on a game species would be a good or necessary move in the state. And one of the things that we've been looking at in the past, I think this was done in 2008, a Michigan Wolf Management Plan, and I'd be more than happy to get a copy to all the committee members to review that. In the management plan, it sets forth wolf management goals, and for those goals, one being maintaining a viable Michigan wolf population above the level that would warrant its classification as threatened or endangered. 2, facilitating wolf-related benefits. 3, minimizing wolf-related conflicts. And 4, conducting science-based wolf management with socially accepted methods. Looking at some of these goals, the need to maintain a viable population, it's very important to help. The DNR's committed to maintaining a viable Michigan wolf population above the level that would warrant its classification as threatened or endangered at either the state or federal level. Declining a wolf population below the viable level would reduce opportunities for positive wolf-related interactions and other benefits derived by many residents. The other issues, I think the one that mainly is focused on UP is minimizing wolf-related conflicts. And while wolf population offers benefits as described, it also poses significant costs and concerns to some Michigan residents. Those costs include losses of domestic animals, anxieties over the presence of wolves near residential and recreational areas, and concerns over the impact of wolves may be having on populations of game species. In the wolf management plan, it states that left unaddressed, sources of conflict can foster and develop a negative public attitude towards wolves, and those negative attitudes can lead to adverse impacts of wolf distribution and abundance. Negative public perception of wolves was one of the primary reasons why wolves became historically threatened and extinct in many areas. It goes on to state that a survey was taken, I think this was back in 2006, and the public attitude of that survey showed that at least 76% of interested respondents would support some type of active wolf management to address strong public concerns regarding human safety risk posed by wolves, and at least 75% of the interested respondents would support active management in areas experiencing high levels of wolf depredation on livestock. And for us to be here today, we just think that this would be another tool that would allow for proper management and implementation of the wolf management plan. We think that we could use this again as a tool to reduce those negative impacts and conflicts that with livestock and humans. So we are supportive of the concept of moving forward and putting that wolves on the game species list.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Do you want to take care of minutes and excuse absent members right now while we have a quorum?
Yeah. I need a motion to excuse absent members.
So moved.
Senator Warren, seeing no objections, absent members are excused, and we have the minutes from September 27, 2012. Do I have a motion to adopt the minutes? Senator Pavlov, seeing no objections, the minutes are adopted. Thank you. Okay, next I've got Jamie Mitchell with Chippewa Auto Resource Authority, wishes to speak and opposes the hunt. And just again, a reminder, I see everybody's putting on the card, and I appreciate that. They're talking about the concept because we don't actually have the bill in front of us. But thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Jimmy Mitchell. I'm the Director of Natural Resources for the Little River Band of Ottawa Indians. I'm also a representative at Chippewa Ottawa Resource Authority. And we're here today to, we've also supplied a resolution against the proposed bill at this time. But there's one other component that I wanted to share with you today, and it's in regards to the 2007 consent decree that the state and the tribe signed into with the federal government, which requires consultation between the state and the tribes to discuss any management changes or any of the methodologies proposed within in those changes. And that has not happened yet. I've asked to have consultation through the DNR. And, it was explained to me that because this was in the legislation portion of our government within the state of Michigan, that they couldn't entertain those discussions at this time. And so at this point, I'd like to be able to offer a request to have consultation with the Senate side of our government to weigh the concerns and discuss the management considerations within the proposed bill, and to be able to do that today and look at sometime very soon to be able to go over that in accordance with the consent decree obligations that we're all party to.
Thank you. Fair request, and that's, appreciate you being here today because we're just starting, so we'd be happy to sit down and talk and have those conversations. For us, the goal really is to establish it as a game animal. From there, we have to give it over to the NRC according to the Constitution and let them decide whether there's a hunt or not, and if there is a hunt, what that looks like. So I think it's probably two stages that we'd be happy to have you involved talking with us on. One is the legislative part of it now, and then that portion with the NRC.
And that's the way we see it as well. And so it's something that really hasn't happened yet with the legislative side, but again, however we could craft that and make that meeting happen and sit down and again, sort of provide our perspective on what the hunt would represent to the tribe as far as management concerns, as well as the cultural concerns that we have. It would be very, I think, beneficial for all involved.
Sure, thank you. Any other comments? Are there any questions? Senator Pavlov?
Thank you. You touched on something on the cultural issue on this. Can you talk a little bit about how you view that?
Yeah, I would actually. Within the Anishinaabe culture, which the 5 tribes that are comprised of Kora, we have a connection to our environment. And one of the most culturally significant species that we have is the wolf. And in accordance to our culture, we believe that by having those clan animals represented within our environment helps our community, our culture, to be more robust and attainable. You'll have to remember after the Treaty of 1836 was signed, all of Michigan was decimated. The trees were cut, the animals were extricated off our environment, and our communities fell into severe hardship. As the environment has healed, the animals have come back, so have the Indian communities. We're starting to regain our status that we once knew as a proud and unique component to the fabric of Michigan that we're all party to. And we believe that our culture needs to be, continue to be robust. And so we're concerned that certain hunting initiatives against wolves or other culturally significant species like the moose, the loss of them again will create a hardship on our culture, and we will lose that aspect of who we are.
Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Okay, I've got Mike Norman with the Michigan Hunting Dog and Federation. Wishes to speak, supports. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning. Mike Norman, Michigan Hunting Dog Federation. If you don't know what that is, we're a group that represents over 54 different dog clubs or organizations, state of Michigan, probably, depending on what day it is, 2,200 members at large. I was a member of the original Wolf Roundtable that developed this citizens advisory document to guide the DNR and what all the different stakeholder groups wish to happen, as was my friend Jim here. And there were two...
Mike, excuse me, is your mic on right now, the red light?
Oh boy.
There you go.
Thank you.
Watch out now. There were two Indian groups represented on that original Wolf Roundtable, and the document produced and signed off by all members, everything produced by the Roundtable had to be unanimous. And there were two Indian groups on there that signed off, and in that document, it allows the DNR recommendation by that group to have a public hunt for management purposes. And we all signed off on that. And I find it difficult to go back and say after the fact, well, now we don't want it. But I do understand his concerns about consultation, because sometimes it's hard for them to get everybody to live up to their obligations. In speaking with the leading biologists in the UP on this, the wolves have certainly reached the social carrying capacity up there, and if they haven't, they're right on the cusp of the biological carrying capacity. And at the time of the roundtable, the wolf population was increasing at approximately 15% per year. It's down to about 7% now. They think there are around 800 wolves. The studies done on the biological carrying capacity, that's about what the UP can carry without causing more problems. They say that the smaller areas of the wolf's range, the decrease in population increase certainly indicates that they're, if not on the cusp of reaching the biological carrying capacity. And it's the opinion of the people I represent here today that we can't manage wildlife from behind the 8 ball. We got to be in front of things. We can't wait until the population gets out of control and is diseased or whatever before we start managing, or we can't let a population be so low we can't bring them back. This bill, as I understand it, doesn't call for a season. It just creates, makes the wolf a game animal, which, by the way, gives it more protection under the law than a non-game protected species. There's harsher punishments for the taking of a game animal by poaching than there is a non-game protected species. So we'd like to urge this. This is what was planned. All citizen groups had their say in this. We think that it's the absolute only sensible way to proceed is to make it a game animal. I know my groups that I'm representing aren't yelling for a season in 2013 or anything like that, or immediate season. That has to progress, and it's got to be up to the biologists. to tell us when they need to create a hunt for management purposes. And this is the first step, and it's the right thing to do.
Thank you, Mike. Let me ask you, is it, because I think it's feasible if the NRC meets, if we get this done this year, if they meet within the year, within 2013, there could be one. Are you saying you don't think they could put a hunt together that in 2013?
I don't know. I'm saying that I trust those biologists on the ground, and I know they're working to create management units, much like Bear.
Right.
And I feel quite comfortable with the fact that it isn't going to be a across the UP hunt when they have one. It'll be where there have been significant problems predating on domestic animals, whether they're free-ranging hunting dogs or cattle or sheep or whatever. And if they think there needs to be a management hunt in this given area in 13, well, that's fine. But we're not pushing them to do that before it's time.
Sure.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Simple as that.
Any other questions? Thanks, Mike.
Okay, thank you.
Next, I've got Melba J. Coleman, citizen from Hazel Park, wishes to speak and oppose the bill. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning. I guess you're the summer. Hello, gentlemen, ladies. My name is Melba Coleman. I live in Hazel Park, Michigan. I believe decisions regarding the wolf must be based on the most current scientific data. Wildlife is an important part of my life. Sometimes we need to be reminded of how precious our wildlife is. To hear a wolf howl, to stumble upon a track, enlightens me to know that the wolf still flourishes. They're important to keep the nature balance and sustain our ecosystem. I'm not a biologist, or do I have a degree in wildlife. What I do have is compassion, and the sense to know that it's not necessary for the wolf to be designated as game for the DNR to manage wolf conflicts, to educate people about these apex animals, to diminish any myth and negative differences. Once a wolf is gone from this earth, there's no way of bringing it back. Extinction is forever. The pathway to our future is the pathway you've made. Hunting, trapping of wolves for recreation. With less than 700 wolves in the state, there is no scientific need to have a recreational hunt, and the DNR acknowledges that the hunting wolves is biologically complex, and many factors must be considered, not just opinions for those who want a trophy animal. The approved wolf management plans outline approaches for managing many wolf-related issues. The approaches were chosen based on scientific evaluation of the potential impacts of the wolf population, their feasibility, their probability of success, and because they appear to be acceptable to most Michigan residents. With all the non-lethal and lethal measures available to control problem wolves, there is no scientific evidence to support the need for recreational hunting for these wolves. With the delisting of the wolf, the Michigan Wolf Management Plan can be fully implemented, including the assurance of landowner permits when non-lethal measures are effective. The need for peer review, research, and the need for scientific wolf management is imminent. We have a management plan that is supported by 20 different groups, including hunting groups. Overall wolf depredation in Michigan is low. Between 1996 and 2012, there have been less than 250 depredation events. Wolf-related conflicts are often caused by a behavior of few individual wolves. The management at small scales can often address problems effectively. Let's give the wolf management plan time to work. There's no need to rush. We need to evaluate the impacts lethal control will have on the pack dynamics and population growth for designating the wolf as a game animal. Respectfully. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a quick comment, I guess, on your statement. And
Sure.
I guess the concern I have is if you're going to look at the wolf management at this point at least, look at the wolf management as a state of Michigan totality issue, and you use numbers, your numbers will be, I think, skewed. What I'm driving at is the Upper Peninsula is dealing with the wolf. So it's not Detroit, and it's not Lansing, and it's certainly not Grand Rapids. It's the UP. So your numbers the numbers become different if you focus in on where they are. And I think, and just food for thought when we're thinking through this. The other is, as we study, as you mentioned studying, the concern I have, again, as a representative of these people, I've gone to the farms, and I've saw the slideshows. And the problem we've got is, in their case, and it's not just the farming community, but in the farming community, they don't have time for studies. They're losing their lifestyle, they're losing their livelihood. And there's no response quick enough to help them out, and they feel like their hands are tied because they're being told about how precious the wolf is, and we can't touch the wolf. And they think their livestock's pretty precious, and we have tried different things. They've been trying different methods. But as far as the permitting process that you mentioned, the other problem we've got there is if it's just a land permit process for, say, a farmer that's having problems, you almost have to have somebody there 24/7 ready to shoot because they come in at night. And so when the farmer's sleeping, here comes the wolves, and we end up losing more livestock. So I guess I would just ask, that please consider that as you're going through these thought patterns, and especially with the agriculture side of this thing, because you can't do this 24/7, and you can't protect yourself from 24/7. And there has been some suggestions, but pretty costly suggestions for the farmer. And that's why I think in our case we're considering the idea and hoping the NRC agrees with us that at least looking at a regional type management plan, so if the wolf population is higher in a region, we can get in there and manage that region, not maybe a full-blown hunt across the entire Upper Peninsula, but in those regions where we're working collectively to take care of it, not somebody sitting at somebody's farm 24/7 trying to keep the wolves out. Does that make sense?
I respect that, yes. I mean, I used to live in the UP. I didn't always live downstate.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed to hear and to see, but it wasn't just the wolf, it was the bear. I mean, I just think that there's means that the farmer can use that's not costly. I mean, we have dogs. There's all types of things that you don't have to actually go in. We have it implemented so that the ranchers, farmers, or an individual if threatened by a wolf, if they have the right to take care of the wolf in general. But normally it's not a pack, it's a rogue. I mean, that's how but like I said, I'm not a specialist. I'm an individual.
Sure.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Okay, next I've got Kent Wood, MUCC, supports the issue and wishes to speak. Morning, Kent.
Morning, Chairman and members of the committee. Thanks so much. Kent Wood with MUCC, and really happy to be here this morning to talk about this. This is really the recovery of the wolf in Michigan is really a success story, and really should be celebrated that we we're able to bring this species back. And I think what this discussion today is about is kind of the next steps, or where we go from there now that the wolf is back. And I think if you consider even as recently as 1988, 1989, we had 0 wolves in Michigan, and now we've got over 700. And the population is continuing to grow, and continuing to grow at a steady pace. And as was mentioned earlier, a lot of reports are showing that we're reaching those carrying capacities. As I'm sure you've heard a lot of, we're reaching those both social and biological carrying capacities. And so I think the numbers show that we do have a healthy and vibrant wolf population that's able to cover the variety of values that the public has. And so where we go from here now, we feel that the wolf needs the best scientific management that we have. And by designating the wolf as a game species, that allows it to be put under the North American model of wildlife conservation. North American model is it's the most successful wildlife conservation model in the world. It's been used around the globe, and it's been used to successfully maintain and enhance wildlife populations, and uses managed hunting and trapping seasons as one of the ways to manage. I think what's also very important too that we haven't touched on yet is that through the North American model, it also provides the funding necessary to manage wolves, to help study wolves, to help do population studies. And that's something that we're lacking right now as well. It's just, we can talk about the wolf management plans that we have, but there's just not the funding to do a lot of the things that a lot of us would like to see done. And so, I think, under the model, the public and hunters can help to manage the species and also to conserve and protect the species for future generations. I think, emotions run high a lot when we talk about this issue, but I think the number one goal is always to conserve and to manage the species. Something we just kind of touched on, and I'm glad because I don't think we realize this enough when we talk about this, is that I think we realize wolves are predators, but we also have to realize that they prey on a number of other animals and species that have a lot of value to us. In Michigan, we talked about livestock, and there's also deer, moose, elk, game birds, you name it. Wolves prey on those, and those also have a lot of value to a lot of different people across the state. And so now that the wolf is back, we need. It needs to be managed. We need to have the tools possible, and our wildlife managers need to have the tools possible in order to properly manage it and to balance it with the other values that we have out there with our other species and animals. So that's it for me. I'd be happy to answer any questions though, if you have them.
Thanks, Cam. I got a quick one. Senator Pethel.
Thanks. It's been said a couple of times, the social carrying capacity. Can you talk a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, I would also maybe defer to the department on this too, but I think social carrying capacity sort of refers to, especially in a regionalized or localized area, how is it accepted there? And if you have, as Senator Casperson referred to, if you have areas and pockets of certain regions that are just saturated with it, socially it can be unacceptable there. It can reach socially unacceptable levels. Whereas, down here, it might be socially acceptable because they're not running through our backyards or, through our schools or something like that. So that's kind of I think a rough idea of the concept, and I'd probably defer to Adam Bump with the DNR or Trevor to, further talks about that.
Thanks.
Thanks, Kim.
Thank you.
Okay, next I've got Jill Fritz with the Humane Society of the United States, wishes to speak and opposes. Good morning, Jill.
Good morning, thank you. I just wanted to real quickly just address, you were talking about managing conflicts, and I wanted to just cite the Wolf Management Roundtable's report. And they said previous management experience suggests most wolf-related conflicts are best handled on a case-by-case basis, and managing individual conflicts by reducing wolf numbers at a broad geographic scale would be inappropriate. And they go on to say whether management would effectively reduce wolf numbers in local areas of Michigan, especially over the long term, has not yet been proven. And the potential efficacy of generally reducing wolf numbers to manage conflicts remains unclear. So I just wanted to point that part out of the Wolf Management Roundtable's report. I also wanted to just stress and understand that some of us are in Lansing, some of us in Detroit, Grand Rapids, etc. But the wildlife of our state belongs to all the people of Michigan. The wolves are in the national forest, they're in the state forest. They belong to all of us. So, but on Monday, as you all know now, trophy hunters killed 4 wolves on the opening day of the first wolf season in Wisconsin for decades. Minnesota's hunting and trapping season starts on November 3rd. Wisconsin awarded 1,160 permits through a lottery, and Minnesota awarded 6,000 permits. Both states issued more hunting permits than there are wolves in their boundaries. And a recent news story made the intentions of the hunters very clear. In these hunts, one said he plans to pay more than $3,000 for 24 wolf traps, and he said killing a wolf is the ultimate challenge. You're taking the largest scale predator on the landscape. Another said she wants to add a full-size wolf mount to her collection and told the reporter to get a wolf as a trophy would be awesome. And the third said he plans on using electronic calling devices with 400 sounds mimicking wolves and distressed animals. He said, the first time in modern day history is why I entered. The big thing is getting the hide. As you've likely heard by now, the HSUS and the Fund for Animals announced on Monday our intention to sue the federal government to reverse its decision to prematurely remove wolves from the list of protected species. Our legal claims in that are on the notion that authorities in Minnesota and Wisconsin developed reckless plans and rushed to approve hunting and trapping seasons, and Michigan seems to be on that path as well. But on a moral case, it's just very clear to us that a wolf hunt is wrong, and there's nothing to justify it on practical grounds either. It's not about killing for food. Nobody eats wolves. It's not about management. State and federal law already covers the targeting of individual wolves who threaten livestock, public safety, or dogs. And it's not about protecting ecological systems. We know a robust presence of wolves has a beneficial cascade effect through the ecosystem. It's just about killing for fun. It's about getting the trophy. It's completely unjustified recreational killing. No species has been removed from the endangered species list at such a low population level and then immediately hunted, like the wolf. We think our state's wolves deserve better. I don't think that Michigan wants to go down the path that Minnesota and Wisconsin went down. They've made it clear, Michiganders have made it clear that they don't want a wolf hunt, and we should let our management plan work and focus on the long-term recovery of wolves in our state. They really have not recovered fully yet. So thank you.
Thank you. Jill, you mentioned about the diversity of the state, and it's everybody's. What I'm struggling with, and you heard me ask the question earlier, but what I struggle with that comment is the same people are saying that are not there to help people on their own land, their own private land, when predators like this are on their property destroying their livelihood. Yes. And there doesn't seem to be a clear answer for that. It almost seems like protect at all costs. And at what point do we play a role as people, as a human being? We're part of this equation. So where do we fall into this? What would you say to that?
Well, that was due to the hard work of the people of the Wolf Management Roundtable to advise and help the DNR create a management plan and to address those depredation events. And the management plan has only been in place now for 9 months since delisting, and that's what it's there for. And I think, to answer your question as best I can, that's why I think that was created, to address that depredation while still allowing the wolves to continue to recover.
Would a hunt play a role in that? I mean, they came up with it and they said hunting in this region would help thin the herd out to make it at an acceptable level. Would that be a tool we could use? Well,
I would disagree with that. Certainly the HSUS would. Again, just quoting the Management Roundtable's recommendations, they don't see that type of management of wolves would necessarily have an effect on depredations to remove the wolves at a large scale like that. So, thank you.
Okay, I've got Rebecca Parks, Michigan Farm Bureau, wishes to speak and supports. Got a few minutes. Rebecca?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Rebecca Parks with Michigan Farm Bureau. We do support, as an organization, the hunting of wolves, so allowing the Natural Resources Commission to have a hunt, as has been discussed earlier today. It doesn't require the bill. Yeah, it's on. Can you guys not hear me? I'm not usually quiet. Normally it's the opposite. Anyway, Farm Bureau does support allowing the Natural Resources Commission to issue a hunt for a wolf. As has been discussed earlier this morning, it doesn't require a hunt. It certainly doesn't require a hunt across the entire state. It just gives them the flexibility to do that hunt if it's needed in certain areas. A lot has been talked about the social and the carrying capacity. My members have been dealing with this issue on a continual basis for a number of years now. And yes, legislation has been passed that does allow a farmer to take a wolf if it's in the act of preying upon their livestock. But again, some of those prevention methods that a farmer can do to help prevent a wolf from preying upon the livestock don't always work. And you're right, a farmer can't be out there 24/7. And the other thing I think I want to point out is that this is their livelihood. The livestock is what helps that farmer keep a roof over their head and food on the table for their family. I mean, that's ultimately what we're talking about when we have a predatory species that goes in and takes their livestock. And oftentimes, I'm told with the smaller animals such as lamb and sheep, the entire animal is gone. They have nothing left. They go out to count their sheep in the morning and they're going, wait a minute, something's missing here. Someone, just had a sheep the other day and suddenly that new sheep is gone. So it's a definite concern for our farmers in the UP. And Farm Bureau policy strongly supports using hunting as a control method for wildlife species, and therefore we do support listing the wolf as a game species. So I'll be succinct. I know a lot has been discussed this morning.
Thank you, Rebecca. Seeing no questions, appreciate it. Okay, that's it. That's all I have for testimony, but I've got some cards I want to read in. I've got Aaron Payment, Tribal Chairman, Sioux Tribe, opposes the bill in concept and does not wish to speak. Roger Thorman, Michigan State Fox Hunters, supports the bill, doesn't wish to speak. Jim Whale, Michigan State United Coon Hunters, supports the bill, doesn't wish to speak. Joe Hudson, Bear Houndsman Association, supports the bill, doesn't wish to speak. Matt Pedigo, Michigan Bear Hunters Association, supports, doesn't wish to speak. Dean Hall, Michigan Bow Hunters Association, supports, doesn't wish to speak. Gary Shinsky of Trappers and Predator Callers Association, supports, doesn't wish to speak. Doug Dougherty, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, Michigan, supports and doesn't wish to speak. So that's all I have for cards this morning. I want to thank everybody for the early morning and being patient and getting here, and we're going to keep going with this. And on the side over here, we'd like to get together if we could before we actually move forward with the bill, maybe have some more conversations on the bill itself. So with that, I'm going to call the meeting is adjourned.